Hello everyone and welcome. My name is Roberto Corona. I am an Italian anthroposopher and astrologer, and in this video we're going to talk about the next new moon in Leo of August 4, a moon bringing a strong impulse towards taking action, willpower, a moon that is describing how on the one hand our will might get lost, so to speak, and dissolve in summer heat, but on the other hand how it can potentially open up to a benevolent and very specific spiritual impulse that we will be describing in detail. I'm referring to the Michael impulse. In fact, with this moon, we overcome the dreamy summer atmosphere represented by the zodiac sign of Cancer to enter the sign of Leo, the heart of the summer season. So this is the chart of the new moon, but first let's talk about the last changes in the sky. Now on July 22nd, the sun entered Leo, whereas on July 25, Mercury entered Virgo, and as we know, Mercury is slowing down more and more until the fourth degree of Virgo, when it is going to turn retrograde. In fact, the new moon of August 4 occurs the day before two celestial events. One of them is happening on August 5, again, Mercury turning retrograde. I'll leave the link to the dedicated video in the description box down below if you want to watch it and learn more. And always the 5 of August, Venus is going to enter the zodiac sign of Leo. So what's peculiar about this new moon is that it falls 2-3 days after Lunasad or Lammas, the pagan festival of the bread of harvest, marking the midpoint of summer. Whereas anthroposophically speaking, we are approaching the night of Saint Laurence, August 10, with its famous shooting stars, the Perseids, which we will talk about in more detail, addressing the spiritual meanings of the chart, which of course is a new moon, and as such it represents the beginning of this process of manifestation of the etheric forces of the earth, which gradually increase with a waxing moon up to the full moon. And in this sense, the new moon is always a cosmic seed, a good time to sow and start new things. And this manifestation process will reach its peak with the next full moon in Aquarius happening on August 19th. So let's take a look at the chart. The sun and moon are located at 12 degrees 34 Leo in the starry image of Cancer. Here they are. And this is a chart full of celestial events. In fact, first of all, the chart, being this a new moon in Leo, is ruled by the sun, which is the ruler of Leo, which of course is in Leo. And the sun is making two sextiles with a very, very particular conjunction. I am referring to the Mars-Jupiter conjunction that you can see here. Now, Mars has been really under the spotlight lately with its conjunctions. In fact, in the latest videos, we talked about the conjunction with Uranus. If you remember, Uranus was sitting on star Algol, which is a very malefic star. And here, on the other hand, another fixed star is involved, because Mars is in close conjunction with Aldebaran, which is the eye of the constellation of the Bull. And Aldebaran is one of the 4 royal stars of ancient Persia that held, so to speak, the pillars of the sky. And in particular, Aldebaran comes with the nature of Mars. It is also the star guardian of the East, and traditionally it is associated with Archangel Michael, being Michael a warrior figure. Now this means that Mars here conjoins the star of the nature of Mars, a martial star. And this means that no doubt it will make itself felt a lot, right? Because on top of that, Mars is in conjunction with Jupiter, and Jupiter expands anything it touches. So it is a very strong Mars. Now, on top of that, the chart also features a very important configuration, which is the Jupiter-Saturn square that you can see here, this red line connecting Jupiter and Saturn. And this is part of the Jupiter-Saturn cycle that began with their conjunction back in 2020. And the square, it is the first step of the cycle. The second step would be their opposition, and then we have the second square, and then the full cycle. So the square will last for the whole month of August, and then it will reappear during the whole month of December as well. So we also want to remember that the chart features a stationary Mercury. So Mercury is going to turn retrograde the day after of the new moon. And so we need to take that into account as well. But before talking about the meanings of the chart, let's take a closer look at the Mars-Jupiter conjunction, which is quite beautiful. This is a simulation made with Stellarium, a free software, and their conjunction is going to perfect on August 14th. Now, this conjunction is quite spectacular because, as you can see, Mars and Jupiter will be extraordinarily close, not just by longitude, so referring to the zodiac as we usually do, but also by latitude. And this means that they're going to sort of merge into one spot almost in the sky. So if you have the opportunity to see it, it's going to be visible the hours before dawn. So if you can, don't miss it because it is a very rare phenomenon. So back to the meanings of the chart, starting as always from the physical perspective. Now, from this point of view, Leo is all about leadership and creativity. And being this a new moon, this means that we are literally invited to be creative and to start new projects, especially because through the sextile with Mars and Jupiter, we can really tackle them with great passion, with fire, with enthusiasm. In fact, Jupiter expands and increases the other planets with this drive, this optimism. So this is quite good just to get results. And on top of that, the Sun in Leo and Mars on the star Aldebaran, they promise the same thing. They promise success because, you know, Leo is the zodiac sign of gold, of success, whereas Aldebaran literally is a star that comes with positive significations. And one of them is success in business, for example. But this is going to happen not without issues or fighting. And this is mainly because the chart features a stationary Mercury. So we don't want to forget about that. So this brings misunderstandings, communication issues, and so on. So I'll leave you the video on Mercury retrograde in the description box if you want to check that out. And on the negative, we have to say that Mars on Aldebaran and the new moon in Leo combined can also refer to military operations. And this is because from the collective point of view, we also need to talk about this square that I mentioned, the square between Jupiter and Saturn. In fact, this square represents a tension in the collective between two things, between, on the one hand, the governments, laws, and so on, authoritative figures represented by Saturn. On the other hand, we have the other component, major component of society, I would say, and that's Jupiter. Why Jupiter? Because Jupiter is the planet of trust. And trust is the underlying feeling of society, of any, healthy society. And usually this square leads to change in the direction of governments, especially governments that are most at risk. And why is that? Because we have the government represented by Saturn that doesn't have anymore the trust. This can also refer to trust on the political sense, but trust from people in general. And so being governments literally not trusted, this may lead to change in this regard. And with this Mars on Aldebaran, this can also involve military operations. So this is definitely a challenging part of this chart. From a more psychological perspective, though, Leo is the zodiac sign of burning passion, of desire, right? And for this reason, we really want to pay attention to mundane excesses here, especially because with Mars amplified by Jupiter, and being both Mars and Jupiter in Gemini, which you know is a very funny zodiac sign, it's very easy to indulge in life pleasures and also to get lost a little bit in them. So you want to also pay attention to this Mercury retrograde, not to get August to get too messy, so to speak. Even though we have to say that this configuration overall is compatible with some well-deserved holidays if you want to take some days off. Also, please keep in mind that Mercury is going to be retrograde again between Virgo and Leo for all August, and this could easily trigger one of Leo's weaknesses, which is anger, this emotion, especially because Mars and Jupiter are involved. So anger is an easy guess. This means that Mercury retrograde could also lead us to deal with this emotion and to process it. Again, you can watch my video about Mercury retrograde to learn more about this process. From a spiritual point of view, we really have many things to say. Now, first of all, a very strong Michael impulse immediately stands out in this chart for many reasons. Now, reason number one, as we said, this moon is taking us towards the Perseids, the shooting stars of the night of St. Laurence on August 10. And Rudolf Steiner talks quite a lot about it, referring to how these shooting stars bring in the Earth atmosphere a special quality of iron, the metal iron, which is very different from terrestrial iron. It is sidereal iron. And this iron is special because imaginatively is a weapon of the gods, because it forms the sword of Archangel Michael. So you can picture this cosmic iron penetrating in the Earth atmosphere, forming the sword of Archangel Michael. Now, it is very interesting to note that Mars, god of weapons, god of war, and the metal of Mars is iron. Now, Mars is in close conjunction with Aldebaran. So we have reason number two. Aldebaran is traditionally associated with Archangel Michael. Now, this means that literally we have the sword of Michael in this chart, a sword that begins to form according to this living script that we can recognize and read in the stars, right? And reason number three, the sun and moon are located in the stereo image of Cancer. Now, Cancer is a very, very important constellation regarding to the event of Golgotha. And in fact, during the crucifixion and resurrection of Christ, Saturn, the planet of the will of the Father, was in this constellation. Now, this constellation is quite challenging because it is associated with the forces of materialism. But after the event of Golgotha, due to the resurrection process of the Christ, Cancer holds the potential within itself, and I want to stress this out, the potential capable of leading us out materialism, to overcome materialism, and with it, of course, the spirit of materialism, which is Ahriman. So this chart, from a spiritual point of view, invites us to fight the sulfur brought by the dragon through the summer heat, the dragon who wants to dim our consciousness and making us forget our divine origins. As always, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell not to miss out on future astrological insights. I am Roberto Corona. See you in the next video.